self-driving cars, people are asking questions about reflections and whether you could disrupt a self-driving car by using, a laser pen in the way that people try to do when they're being anarchic and dangerous. And of course, that discourse shifts as we move from it being a computer science-based field to being other kinds of fields. So, we do start asking those questions that Ben was touching on. Can a human actually remain alert if they don't have anything to do for hours and hours and hours? How do humans trust machines? Do we build things that look like cars even though they're now robots? I mean, I think about this. I have a hybrid car, and I know perfectly well that if I put my foot down on the thing that I call an accelerator, what's happening is that I'm sending a digital signal through to a computer. That computer is then doing things with the battery power and the generator on board to determine which wheels need to power by how much. It's not an accelerator. In my head, I'm thinking, well, there's extra petrol, there's extra air flowing to the carburetor, blah, blah, blah. It's not an accelerator. It's an instruction device, which happens to be shaped in the way that I learned to use an accelerator. Another question very close to my heart. Anyone who had to drive my late mother-in-law, you would know that you need to drive very gently and very calmly and very quietly with someone who doesn't like being sudden bursts of acceleration or braking. So these are issues that are really important when we think about the psychology, the human experience of self-driving cars. And this is part of the discourse. Ben touches on the philosophy. These are incredibly important questions that need addressing, and very well discussed questions in the media. So, for example, I came across a really interesting paper about what happens if a human being sits in a car and starts driving badly. And at what stage does a computer either say, you can't drive, or I'm taking over, or intervenes in some other ways? Is that kind of thing ethical? Is it legal? Is it permitted to take over control when a human is behaving badly? Should we permit not a drunk driver, but a drunk passenger to be in the car? For example, I mean, these are all questions that need to be addressed, that run along those ideas of philosophy and ethics. And there are these huge environmental questions that are basically not being researched on at any great level. And to some extent, these are the sorts of issues that are thrown up by reference to driving patterns in the USA rather than Europe. So, for example, one of the papers I read was, okay, so it becomes more convenient for me to get a car into town, into the shopping mall than any other way. But when I get there, does that car need to park there? Can that car go and park somewhere else? Could I rent it out by the hour while I go shopping? What do you do with that? Are we going to be doing more miles and polluting more as a perspective of making it easier? Humans don't have this great track record in behaving well. They tend to get quite lazy when laziness is permitted to them on a technological or a social or a scientific level. So when we think about the field of self-driving cars, which we can characterize as being perhaps 15 years old, we can see how this has developed over time. So again,